With so many watches out there, it's so easy to get swept away in the next purchase, looking at what's coming ahead. But in this video, I'm going to talk about which purchases you should leave on the shelf. This is going to be my reasons of the worst types of watches that you should never own in your collection. Now, before we get into the video, if you're new here, I'm Tyree, this is Wrist Unwound, and we like to talk about where watches and stories meet. I always respect your time, so if you look in the description, there'll be some timestamps below so that you can jump ahead. But before you do jump ahead, make sure you hit like and preferably a comment so that YouTube doesn't think that I completely suck at making videos. And remember, if you subscribe, you're helping me get my Grail watch. Once I get to 1,000 subscribers, my wife said I can get my personal Grail. So your subscription will be a great help. Thanks so much, and let's get into the video. The number one watch you should never buy and have in your collection is the watch you can't afford. Listen, watches are fun. This whole thing is a hobby, but it should not be an investment. And you should never have to take out a loan or sell your car just to get a watch. Remember, at the end of the day, there's not a single watch that you need to have. And they're trying to bet on the market of watches and hoping that the price goes up, it's really not worth it. If you want to make money, you need to save money. Look at an S&P 500. I'm not a financial advisor, but there's lots of things that you can put money into other than watches. And so the first thing you should never do is buy a watch that you can't afford and you have to take out a loan to get it. Watch number two that you should never buy, which kind of goes in the same vein, is a watch that goes over retail. Listen, I've been there. You wait in line, you're trying to get that limited edition and you miss out and you feel like you have to have it. But at the end of the day, you don't have to have it. Very rarely is a watch truly worth over retail. And if you have a little bit of patience, in which I understand that patience is a virtue, you will eventually find that watch. Maybe it takes a year, maybe it takes two, maybe it takes longer. But if you truly love this watch and it's going to be with you for the rest of your life, what is it to wait an extra couple months to a year? And I'll give you a perfect example. The watch that I got on my wrist today. This watch, which I don't know if I can show you from here, is the Timex Huckberry collab of their Expedition North. And I wanted this watch so bad. I missed it when it came out and I was hunting it on eBay. And they were typically selling for over 50 to 60% more than the original price, which for a used Timex is kind of ridiculous. But I knew that, hey, I'm not willing to pay double, pay 50% over. I'm just going to wait until the right deal comes along. And yes, eventually on Reddit, I was able to find a watch that was the perfect description, came in all the original packaging. And I'm so excited to finally have this watch in my collection. And that patience was truly a virtue. I got the watch I wanted, and I didn't have to go crazy over retail to get it. So always have that patience, and eventually you'll get the one that you need. The third watch that you should never, ever buy is a watch just to impress others. Seriously. You know, especially if you're on Instagram and you post a new watch, yes, your engagement's going to go up. You're going to get more comments and more likes. You might even get more shares, maybe even a save or two. But at the end of the day, after the person comments and shares it, they're just going to keep scrolling. Your watch collection should be between you and your watches, because that's the only thing that really matters. This always takes me back to my 2 rules of watch collection. Rule number 1, buy watches that tell time. And rule number 2, buy a watch that makes you happy. And if you ever have to choose between those 2, always, and I mean always, go with rule number 2. Watch collecting is fun. Watch collecting should make you happy. Watch collecting is not for anyone else but you and your collection. So always do the things that make you happy and don't worry about impressing others, because their taste might not be very good. Now this next one might be a little controversial. The 4th watch that you should never buy are the Copycat Homages. Listen, I understand wanting a watch and not being able to quite afford it, but oftentimes that watch that you buy isn't going to actually scratch that itch. It is better to save up and wait than to just buy a copycat version. That is not really the same thing, because you're going to find yourself still wanting the original watch. And so to me, I'm okay with buying watches that are inspired by, that have their own flavor and their own taste. But when a watch is really just a copycat with lower level materials and a different logo on the dial, I personally am not a big fan of that. But to each their own. So if you disagree with that comment, let me know in the comments below of why you buy Copycat Homages. But for me, that's just not a place for them in my collection. The 5th watch that you should never buy, and maybe you disagree with the last one, but I think you'll probably agree with this one, is fake watches. I am not a fan of fake watches, particularly because worse than Homages, which at least acknowledge the logo of the company that made them, fake watches are literally just being something that they're not. And a lot of a watch is not only the aesthetic, but it's the story, it's the history, the craftsmanship. So to me, buying a fake watch is just really a spit in the face of whichever watch that you like. I understand we can't all afford Rolexes and we can't all afford APs. I can't either. But that doesn't mean I should buy a fake one. There's beauty in watches that are under that price range, whether it be under $1,000, under $500, under $100. You can find beautiful and incredible watches without buying a fake. And so to me, fake watches have no place in my collection, and I don't think they should be in yours either. Now, number 6. This one is really hit or miss for some people, but this is more of my take of watches that I will never own. Watches that are overly small or overly large. Because at the end of the day, watches are not just pieces that go up on the wall and are displays. They should be worn. And if it's not going to be comfortable, you're not going to enjoy wearing it, I don't really think it has a place in your collection. That's my take. But some people really like the oversized watches. So if that's you, please leave me a comment of why, because I really just don't get it. But I think for me and my collection, you should always have a watch that you feel comfortable wearing, that makes you happy, that you can enjoy. Like I said, not every watch has a place in your collection. And hopefully if you follow these tips, you'll be able to build a collection that fits your taste and makes you happy. But I'm sure there's some people out there who don't agree with everything I said. So please let them know in the comments down below, or offer your own advice for other collectors so that we can see in the community what the different takes are on which watches are good and which watches are not. I thank you guys so much for making it this far into the video. You could have been anywhere in the world and you chose to spend your time with me. And for that, I am incredibly thankful. I hope that you and your future collection are blessed moving forward. This is Tyree. God bless and peace.